Math Ninja is continuing with linear equations, graphing linear equations, sort of the golden form of a linear equation, which we've actually been working with, is called the slope-intercept form. So a couple other things to define. If we're talking about the x-intercept of a line, as it's literally saying, it's where the line crosses the x-axis, where it intercepts the x-axis. That is the meaning of the word. So the y-intercept then, of course, is also where the line crosses the y-axis. So they are pretty self-explanatory, but it wants to be crystal clear in your brain. If we say x-intercept, you're visualizing a line crossing the x-axis and y correspondingly with the y-axis as well. So the slope-intercept form, and we've talked about this already, is y is equal to mx plus b, where y and x refer to the axes, where m is the slope of the line, the slant, the angle, the incline, the slope of the line, and then b, which is a number, just a straight up number as we've referred to it, is actually the y-intercept. So when you have an equation in slope-intercept form, you actually have everything you need pretty much to graph it without creating tables and such. So let's look at an example right here. Our first example problem is in slope-intercept form. Y is equal to slope, 1/3, m is 1/3, times x plus b, which is 4. So if you were asked to identify the slope, you would say m is equal to 1/3. And if you were asked to identify the y-intercept, you would say it equals 4. So these are brilliant. Why? Because, okay, so the line intercepts the y-axis at 4. That is a point on the graph, and you can put it on. Oh, and the slope is 3. Slope is rise over run. So if we're saying 1/3 is the slope, 1 is the rise, up 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3 is the slope. That's another point on the graph. And then we could do another. We can go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, and point our 3 points there. And continue on like that. So we have everything we need to graph the line, to graph our straight line, our linear equation. So the slope-intercept form is a beautiful thing. All right, let's look at one other example, then let's do some practice problems. And that will be our work for today. Example number 2, y plus 1 is equal to a negative 2x. Mathematics is about creative thinking, not about rigidity. So you should be thinking right now like, oh, wait, the slope-intercept form, though, is y is equal to mx plus b. So I'm going to connect this with some previous knowledge. I'm going to solve for y, so which means I would need to subtract 1 from both sides to give me the new equation. Y is equal to a negative 2x minus 1. Then you're saying, cool, I got slope-intercept form here. I'm going to be able to graph a line. My slope is equal to a negative 2. And my b, which is my y-intercept, okay, I'm just writing b this time. B is a negative 1, b being the y-intercept. Okay, so I have everything I need to graph a line. Line crosses the y-axis at a negative 1, and the slope is a negative 2. Now, for some of you guys, it may be helpful to remember that a negative 2 can also be written as negative 2 over 1, right? Same meaning. Negative 2 divided by 1 is a negative 2. The reason why this can be handy for thinking is because it's rise over run. Now, rise here is actually declining. It's a negative 2, 1, 2, and then run is 1 over 1. So you certainly can leave it as just a negative 2, but maybe you like that. So rise is a -2, 1, 2, down 2, and then over 1. So there it is. Okay. Didn't need to make a table. If it's in the slope-intercept form, we are good to go. Identify the slope, identify the y-intercept, and create your graph. So here we've got the practice problems. You want to identify, as we did here, you should be writing down the slope, writing down the y-intercept, creating a graph, and putting the line on the graph, all right? So kind of 3 parts here still. So number 1 in slope-intercept form is y is equal to 3x plus 2. Number 2, y is equal to 2 plus 4x. Don't be rigid in your thinking. Remember what the slope-intercept form looks like and make sure it is in that form. Okay? Number 3, y is equal to a -4 is equal to y minus 4 is equal to 2/3 x. Clearly not in the slope-intercept form. So do your work there and find the slope, find the y-intercept, graph the line.